Have you ever noticed that two people can do the exact same thing? They can say the exact same thing and they can even act the exact same way. But for whatever reason, one person gets praised, they get a pass, and then the other person gets dragged for it. And we like to tell ourselves that, we're judging their actions. We're calling it as we see it. But then after watching this season 8 of Love Island, I don't think that's the case anymore. Because I think what happened this season 8 really shows us something way bigger than reality TV. It shows us something about human nature, and that's happening within all of us. Now, if you've been living under a rock, don't worry, I'm gonna catch you up to speed, and I'm gonna give you a quick recap about what happened. Now, Love Island USA, it is pretty much a sexy dating show where you get a whole bunch of 20-something-year-olds, both men and women, into one villa, and they're there for the summer for, I think, like 6 to 8 weeks to try and date each other and find love at the end. And they bring in new people along the week to see if they can tempt the relationship or test the relationship to see like if it's really as strong as it is, or are you better off with the new connection. And at the end of the 6 to 8 weeks, there is a final 4 couple, and then the audience gets to vote the winning couple, and then the winning couple splits money at the end. Now, we're in the 8th season. And one of the things that stood out about this season, this cast, was this was probably like one of the most diverse casts that I've seen. You had different shades of beige, different shades of black. It was a very mixed cast. And with that came issues of colorism. You have issues of desirability politics. You really see how people were treating the lighter skin cast a little bit differently than more of the darker skin contestants like Casey and Naya. You saw how the public reacted to them. You saw how, certain contestants in the show were more threatened by others when it came to, oh, could this person steal my partner? You saw that happen with this girl named Melanie when this bombshell Soul came in and was trying to talk to her man Sincere. You saw how she threw a whole fit about that. And, you can clearly see that she was threatened by this Soul chick. She was threatened by Soul trying to steal her man. You also saw issues of double standards. And it was so loud this season, specifically when, the men and the women, they were broken up. They went to separate villas called Casa Amor, where they bring in a whole bunch of singles to tempt all of them. And then there was one in particular, his name is Casey. He was with this girl named Anaya originally. And then when he went to Casa Amor, he brought back this girl named Titi. And when he brought her back, the double standard was so loud. You saw these 4 girls, Trinity, Anaya, Kata, and also Melanie, really go at it at Casey. Cuss at him, swear at him, call him every name but a child of God. You saw this whole back and forth and this double standard they had with him versus the other men in the villa.
And baby, I'm not speaking to you. I'm talking to Casey. Oh my gosh, he's a grown man.
Y'all ganging up on him though.
Casey, you're a big boy. Speak the fuck up. Speak up.
And there was some point in the season where they had this thing called movie night where they were showing clips of what was going on and what was being said. And there's back and forth between Casey and Anaya, where he stands up and he was trying to say his piece. And then she also stands up talking over him, walks over to where he was standing. He sits down, she gets in front of his face, and she starts going at it, telling him to sit his ass down.
I was sitting up there, I was fucking crying, I fucking left her, ran over, and what did you do? You stood up there and you fucking laughed. Sit the fuck down.
And the double standard in that scene was that you also had this boy Sincere literally tell them to shut the F up and be quiet, and everybody listen to him.
Y'all be the first to gang up on everybody, so shut up.
Because you do the same shit.
I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
So why is it that they shut up when Sincere told them to, but then when Casey was trying to explain himself, they were trying to talk down to him. They were trying to they weren't giving him room to really explain himself. So there was a clear double standard throughout the season. And then you have issues with the general public, this lynching with certain contestants in the show. Like, this season really exposed people's biases. It really exposed how we like to project our trauma and our history onto these contestants that we don't know. And you saw a lot of biased opinions online about these folks. And you can tell that it's really coming from a place of hurt. And there's so much more that I can say about this season of Love Island. It was goddamn near like 30 plus episodes. Like, there's other channels that can recap what happened episode by episode. I'm just giving you like cliff notes about some of the things that stood out. And as I was listening and really watching all this BS that happened, it really got me thinking that there's something else that's influencing how we, the public, view the contestants, and now how even the contestants view themselves. And that is pretty much social capital. So if we were to define what social capital means, it is pretty much the value that you've been able to build within a group. It's how much trust, credibility, influence, and goodwill that you've earned within a group. So you can kind of think of it as kind of like your credit score with people. So the more trust, credibility, and influence you've been able to build, the more social capital that you have. And the more social capital that you have, the more valuable people tend to perceive you to be. So that's why, one of the things that I noticed a lot within this season of Love Island was how loud the disrespect was. So back to that movie scene that I mentioned earlier, two people, Sincere and Casey, one was trying to express himself, the other flat out cussed the girls out. But it was interesting how the reaction was different amongst the women. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I think a part of them really understood, where each person stood within that social hierarchy. Because one thing you have to realize that when you have a high social capital, you know who to be rude and dismissive to. And the group can easily forgive you because, they need your validation more than they need to defend the other person. Because at that point, fuck the other person. The validation that they're getting from you because you have a higher social capital far exceeds the whatever conscience or whatever logic that you need in the moment. Now, when you think about someone that has a lower social capital, they feel like they're kind of walking on a little bit of eggshells. Because if you make the wrong move, any little thing that you do, it's going to be easily called out. You're going to be penalized for it. Like, the people are more quick to notice when you've done something wrong. And then now that mistake is now seen as like a debt that you got to pay to that group. And it really reminds me of when Sol, the bombshell, when she walked into that villa and she was trying to get to know Sincere, and not just Sincere, I think she was trying to get to know Casey and Sincere. And she mentioned how if the villa kind of felt a little bit hostile, like the girls, obviously, like the OG girls in the villa wasn't as warm to her because she was literally in there trying to steal their man. So I get it on both sides, but it sucked to see how both the guys and the girls were treating Sol, because when they had that pie challenge, and in that pie challenge was pretty much, where they would ask random questions about, who amongst the group is likely to cheat or ghost you. Like, they would ask like random questions, and whoever it is, you got to pie them in the face. They never confirmed the amount of times that Sol got pied, but you can tell that she was clearly targeted for some of these questions. Both the guys pied her, and a lot of that influence probably came from, the relationship that they had with the girls in the villa. So for somebody like Sol trying to come into this new environment, her social capital wasn't as high. She had a lower social capital, and that explains the sort of mistreatment that you kind of saw played out when she was there. She was seen as a threat. And because she wasn't one of the original OG girls, her capital was low. And that's why they kept paying her. Now, when it comes to like this whole social capital, it's almost like there's this unspoken rule to it. Like, it's almost something that's like ingrained and built in with us. Like, you don't need a whiteboard to draw it out at all. We can just feel who would get picked first. We just gotta know who will be comforted first. We know whose opinion is gonna have more weight in whatever social setting we are in, or in this case, in the villa. And there's a part of it too that kind of overlaps with desirability politics, where the more attractive you are and the more like white presenting you are, or like Eurocentric that you are, the more that automatically increases by default a bit of your social capital. And in my opinion, I honestly feel like that's how Kenzie got as far as she did in the show. Like, she wasn't perfect. She made a lot of mistakes, but you kind of notice how she was forming, not outside of the romantic relationship, because she was pivoting from one guy to the next, to the next, to the next. And she played the game well. When it comes to like socially, you kind of see how she attached herself to the original core four and then ended up pivoting to her friendship with Jen and a little bit of Soul, but it was mostly with Jen. She formed a bit of a social alliance with her. And then when Jen left the villa, then she kind of had to, again, reconnect with the original group that she was with. But like, you saw how she was maneuvering socially. And I didn't always agree with her tactics, especially when the tears got involved in certain situations when she was talking with Melanie. But that is a core example of how she used her social capital to get far ahead, to get where she needed to go. And the uncomfortable truth about social capital is that it isn't earned equally. Like, there are just some moments where things are just issued at birth. And that's based on how closely your aesthetic fits within like the ideal of whatever dominant culture you're in. And it's usually how Eurocentric, the more Eurocentric looking you are, then the more capital that you have. And there's such a thing that is called a halo effect, which pretty much means the more physically attractive that you are, it kind of creates like this halo around you where people automatically think that you're more social, that you're more smarter, that you're more confident, that you're just more relatable because you're physically attractive. And you'll notice, people will kiki and will laugh at your jokes harder. Your tears, they'll see your tears as more genuine. They're gonna see even like your flaws. It's gonna be seen as like something to embrace, something that's with passion. It's almost like in a way it's almost like a down payment to the group, this halo effect. Now, for those that don't really fit this Eurocentric mold, it's a little bit, that social capital score is it has a little bit of an interest rate there. You're gonna notice like people may treat you differently, may perceive you differently. God forbid if you're a little bit more assertive, then they'll think you're aggressive, especially if you're Black. So my point is that there's layers when it comes to the social capital. It is such a big umbrella, and I'm just calling it as I see it as I'm watching this season of Love Island. And at the end of the day, this villa isn't even about love, like at all. Like, it was very clear this season. It is a pressure cooker, and it kind of shows you how the contestants and how we have been conditioned to really see human value, and it shows up in how we treat others. So any personal trauma or biases that you have, it will be exposed in this pressure cooker. And when you look at the winner, the couple that wins the season, in this case Bryce and Trinity, sometimes the winner of these shows, like, sometimes it isn't even about love. At the end of the day, it is really more about who was able to stack up the most social capital and who found favor either with the public, or more importantly, who found favor with production, with the producers, with the group, with the Love Island entity. That's who usually has like the brand deals, the podcast lined up, and all the money and opportunities being thrown out their way, which basically proves that in the real world, influence is really the currency. And love, listen, if love shows up, that's great. But if it doesn't, we can toss it aside. Like, it is what it is. You know, the scariest part is that I don't even think Love Island is unique. I really think that it already highlights human nature already. Like, that's even uncomfortable for me to admit because I've actually done the exact same thing before. Like, I've been on both sides. Like, I've been the person that was praised, and I've also been the person that got dragged for doing the exact same thing somebody else did, but I just had a lower social capital in that setting. And watching this season of Love Island really just reminded me of how much I hate. Actually, no, let me not use the word hate. It just reminded me about how much I kind of dislike cliques because of the fact that it's very easy to do groupthink. And it's not about being antisocial. I don't want you to get that impression. But it's really easy that when you're in a clique, such as Core 4, for example, it's really easy to adopt the opinion of somebody else and not even realize that it's not your own to begin with. Like, it's easy to watch how people borrow each other's opinion, thoughts, ideologies. Because one like influential, one person that has the highest like social capital, the person that has the most influence can literally say, oh no, that person is being fake. Or no, that guy has a lot of red flags. Oh no, we don't talk to so-and-so. It's so easy for that person to dictate and everybody else kind of falls behind and agrees with it. And then suddenly everyone is seeing evidence that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. And that's when you start seeing people's confirmation bias stand out. Start to notice, remember, and believe things that already support what they're already thinking. And like I said, some people don't even know if it's their actual like thought or if it's the opinion of thought that they've adopted from somebody else. And it kind of reminds me of Anaya in this season, where you kind of saw her opinion was very like, she adapted to whoever she was speaking to. You saw her stance on things change depending on the situation, depending on who she was talking with. It was almost like she was just mirroring the person in front of her. And you saw how she and Melanie were like two people, literally two sides of the same coin, literally mirroring each other. And you saw how biased she was when it came to her relationship with Sincere, like Melanie's relationship with Sincere, because she low-key kind of liked Sincere. She had a friendship with him, even though that relationship was toxic. You saw how she was encouraging her to Melanie to forgive Sincere and take him back. But then it took her own mother, Anaya's own mother, to come into the villa and literally check her and to tell her that you were not being a good friend to Melanie, telling her to go back to him. And then you saw how Anaya told Melanie that, hey, my mama said this. I don't think that your relationship is healthy. So it's kind of like she didn't stand for nothing. Like her words at that point didn't really mean much, because it's like it was wishy-washy and it always changed. And I like her. Like, I think beautiful. I think like she brought something different to the show, but it was just clear that there was a lot, you can see the influence of groupthink when it came to Anaya specifically, where everybody starts moving in one direction because somebody said so. So it's like birds of a feather start flocking together and they start quacking together. No, not quack. They start chirping together. And it was kind of annoying to watch, I'm not gonna lie. It is something that happened a lot in the villa. And honestly, it's not just something that is unique to Love Island. You also see it happen a lot in friendship groups. I've seen it happen in boardrooms. I've seen it happen in even people's comment section on social media, on TikTok or YouTube. And that's why this video specifically is not just about Love Island. It's really about us. And when I say about us, I mean understanding how social capital affects the way we perceive things and shapes how we view people's actions in the first place. And it almost kind of makes you ask yourself that, am I judging this person based on their actions and what they did? Or am I actually judging them based on whatever social capital that I've placed in my mind about them? And even for me personally, like, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm in like my social life era. Like I'm constantly go out. I'm constantly going to different events. I'm interacting with people. Even my job requires me to interact with people every day. So for you watching, as you're interacting with people, as you're forming connections, whether it be in personal or professional settings, there's just certain things to like keep in mind as you're trying to navigate these spaces. Now, one of the things that really helps is knowing how to pause and learning to really observe people and the words that they say. And that involves looking at their mannerisms, observing whether there is pain behind what they're saying or whether they're projecting onto you, or just really understanding the meaning behind the words and the actions that they do. Because before you start adopting somebody else's opinion, oh, that person is fake, or that person is a red flag, really pause and understand and figure out whether that thought came from you or whether you borrowed that thought from somebody else. Because there's been times, even for me, like I had to sit my ass down at certain points in my life and open my mental cabinet and start offloading some files and start looking at it and start like analyzing on, okay, where did I pick that up from? Did I pick that up from family, from my mama growing up? Or like, did I pick that up from so-and-so in high school or in workplace or like my life? Like really any, especially the constant thoughts and opinions and biases that come up, really sitting down and digging through it. Like, did I pick it up from somebody that had a lot of influence on me? Whether it be a good or a bad influence. Like it takes a lot of reflection and pause to just do that. And there have been points where I even had to distance myself from toxic people. Like there was this one good friend that I had a couple years ago where I just noticed that she had a lot of negative thoughts when it came to how she viewed herself, how she viewed Black people, how had a lot of traumatic experiences, you know, growing up. And I was very empathetic towards the person, but I also noticed that that toxicness started to now get ingrained in my mind, and it kind of sucked like the life and the light out of me. And it just got to a point where it was more mentally safe for me to kind of distance myself from this person because of how much toxicness that they were spewing. And they didn't even realize that it was toxic. But that person themselves didn't understand and didn't take time to pause on where those biases, where those thoughts, where that groupthink that she had in her mind was coming from. So if you can't remember forming that opinion for yourself, then it most likely probably came from somebody that had a higher social capital than you did. Now, the second thing to keep in mind too is knowing how to separate people from their social capital score. Everyone has a score at the end of the day. And you can almost think of it like, for example, like when let's say you go to the grocery store, you get a carton of milk, $3.99, you use money as a form of currency to pay for the milk. Now, when you think of like social capital, that is pretty much your currency for actual like human relationships. And just like some currencies or, you know, your credit score, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It fluctuates depending on your actions and how you move. Now, if you're someone that's trying to avoid any mishaps from people, it's really important to watch the consistency of people's character and their behavior. Look at the things that they do, you know, their actions, the words that they say. Because sometimes they can be consistently, their character, their actions can be consistently good. And sometimes it can be consistently bad. And one thing you have to understand with social capital, it's neutral. You can be a good person and have a high social capital, and you can be a bad person and have a high social capital. I.e., we saw World War II, we saw how influential Hitler was, the influence that he had with Nazi Germany and all the heinous things that he was able to get accomplished. High social capital, bad person. If we're bringing it back to, that was a little bit dark, but we bring it back to Love Island, you know, one example of someone, you know, that had a high social capital, that had influence within a group was Bea. Bea felt like the voice of reason, and that's why I was kind of low-key upset that she got eliminated. You know, my Paralympian, she was someone that was able to check people when they were, you know, acting out of line. She's someone that didn't subscribe to the group thing. Like even when she was checking Kenzie, you saw how Kenzie was able to take accountability and apologize. When she checked Melanie for interrupting the girls and stealing one of the bombshell, Corbin, the famous iconic scene Melanie was doing, give me 10.
Give me 10. Give me 10. Give me 10.
Give me 10. Give me 10. Like, and Bea didn't have to do much. She was just she simply was just having a conversation. But you can tell like how much she was able to use her social capital for good, even if she didn't even realize it. But that's just who she is. Like she stands 10 toes down on what she believes is right and isn't afraid to call people out and isn't afraid to hold herself accountable and those around her accountable. That's like, she's an athlete. Like that's an athlete's like mindset, like to say what you mean, do what you said you're gonna do. And there's this form of like respect, mutual respect, that I think that a lot of the Islanders had for Bea. And I think that's why she was so well liked as well. So before reacting to somebody's actions, it's always a fair thing to ask, and like ask yourself, like, would you still, let's say somebody did something you didn't like, would you still feel the same way if a stranger did the exact same thing to you? And that's depending on what your answer is, that will tell you whether you're using your judgment or whether you're using social capital to make the judgment for you. Now, the last thing to keep in mind in all of this is watch how you use your social capital and how you spend it, because you have social capital too. Like I said, some people's is higher, some is not so high, but you still got it regardless. Now, the thing is that what are you going to do with it? Because as I mentioned earlier, that is the currency that you use for human relationships. And social capital is neutral, whether you're a good person or whether you're a bad person, it's neutral. So are you going to use it to, you know, stand up for what's right and defend someone that's not in the room, for example? Or are you going to use it to stay quiet, to do groupthink, because that's what they decided? And I think now more than ever is more important to think independently, because now we're witnessing in real time, like what mass media is, how it's influencing people's thoughts and ideologies, and how literally the algorithm is now programmed to only feed who's problematic. Like you're seeing how it's controlling and programming people. And if you're not paying attention, it is so easy to be impressionable, and it's so easy to absorb everything like a sponge. And the thing with social capital, you know, forget what I said earlier about the villa and the friend group. It is literally happening at a massive scale. Like the media assigns social capital to someone before you even have time to think and process and form your own opinions for yourself, whether it be a contestant on a Love Island, or whether it be a politician, or whether it be like a celebrity or whoever. Like sometimes people don't have the time to even think and form their own opinions, and it's being programmed by what's being pushed out in the media. And if you're not careful, you're just gonna end up adopting whatever the narrative that they're pushing out to you. So yeah, building social capital is important. It's part of navigating through life, but also keep in mind too that your ability to think for yourself, to be an independent thinker, to look at things objectively and critically, that is also important as well. It is not worth losing that for the sake of having a seat at the table, for the sake of trying to fit in at the detriment of your morals and your values. Using your ability to think for yourself, like you're at that point, you're just a robot. You're just a robot. No, not even a robot. You're a puppet at that point. So let's take some time to pause, observe, separate people from their social score, and also learn and be wise about how we choose to spend our own social capital with folks. Now, if you want more intimate deep dives like this, first of all, subscribe and join the community. And if you've ever wondered why people secretly pull away from you, watch this next video. Until next time.